Last week taught me something I didn't expect. Progress isn't always a straight line. Sometimes you lose momentum, sometimes you lose plants, and sometimes you lose confidence. But this week feels different. Not because everything is figured out, but because I stopped waiting to feel ready. I just started building. Before the sawdust, there was a decision, a feeling that it was time to start. For a long time, I believed you had to know everything before you began, that confidence comes first and action comes after. But standing there, looking at the pallets of wood, I started wondering if maybe it worked the other way around. Maybe you learn by showing up, by picking something up, turning it over in your hands, and deciding that it's enough to take the next step. I wasn't sure if I was choosing the right boards, but for the first time, that didn't feel like a reason to stop. I kept thinking I needed a perfect plan, the right layout, the right timing, the right knowledge. But the truth is, if you wait until you feel completely ready, you might never start. So instead of overthinking it, I decided to start. Build the next raised bed. Not the whole garden, not the final version, just one step forward.
Let's start building my second raised garden bed. I'm going to link the video that I'm copying this raised garden bed off of so you guys can see what the original should look like. Well, one screw in, and I've managed to strip the screwdriver or the bit, one of the two. Not the screwdriver, the screw or the bit. So I'm having to try to yank this out with a pair of pliers and try to start over again. I have a brand new box of screws here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find the bit in this box and then see if I can start over with that bit instead of trying to use the old bit that's here, because I think it might have been stripped. Sometimes brute force is not the answer. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get that screw out now.
There's something different about working with your hands. It slows you down, forces you to be present. You can't rush a crooked board into being straight. You can't skip steps and expect it to hold. And somewhere between the measuring and the mistakes, you realize this isn't really about the bed. It's about learning how to work through problems without backing away from them.
I'm still very much undecided on the layout of the garden and the following garden beds. I don't know if I want to just stack them evenly or go ahead and lay them to take advantage of the routing of the sun so that I can make this back row elevated to grow vertically, so I can have 8 feet to grow vertically instead of the 4 feet that I would have here. I don't know which direction I want to go. I was thinking doing a dry fit and letting it sit here and see how it feels would help me decide, but it hasn't really hit me that it's a good idea or not. Or I guess let me lay it the other way and see.
This part almost never makes it into highlight reels. The awkward middle, where things don't look impressive yet. It's not finished enough to be proud of, not new enough to be exciting, just unfinished. But I'm starting to think, This is where the real growth happens. Not at the beginning, not at the end, right here in the middle.
After much contemplation and sitting here in the space, whoops, and sitting here, I think I am going to keep it a cohesive design and stick with the original layout, and then just sacrifice the vertical growing space and only keep the 4 feet at the back. I like the idea of just having it all symmetrical. Are you okay? I can build this up on the patio, but since it's just me by myself, if I try to build it on the patio and then move it over here, it'll be way too heavy. So what I did last time was I did build this one here in the spot instead of moving it around. So I'm going to try to do the exact same thing I did last time just to make it easier on myself. It's probably the more complicated way of doing it, but since I don't have the strength to move this heavy bed by myself once it's fully built, it's better for me to do it this way.
I lost the audio, but this is where I finished on day 1. I did get some help from my husband and oldest son to level the bed before ending the day.
I'm almost done with the build section of this bed, and I have to decide, do I want to piecemeal together the last of this framing part, because I don't have a full 2 by 4 by 8 that I can use for this side. I have scrap pieces of wood that I can use, that I can build it with, and I can just piecemeal it together, or do I want to just go and get a full piece of lumber and not have to piecemeal it together? I do have a bunch of extra wood in the garage that I just need to use up and get rid of, so it's a great way to use it up. I just don't know if I'm going to like the look of it being kind of choppy at the end of the day. So that's what I'm trying to decide now, if I want to go ahead and run to the store and get another piece of wood. I've decided to go ahead and just use the boards that I have, because I have a lot of extra wood in the garage, and if I don't start using it, it's just going to keep piling up. So I'm going to go ahead and just piecemeal the last of it together so that I can use up all those extra boards in my garage. The hardest part is now done. All that's left is to add the bracelets to the 8-foot sides, stain the interior so that it lasts longer, because that's where the moisture will hold the most, and then also probably paint the exterior so that matches the other bed. But the hard part is done, and I'll continue doing the rest of this throughout the remainder of the week.
This journey was never really about gardening, or cooking, or building things. It's about learning how to grow again, in places where life felt stuck, in seasons where I felt unsure. And maybe that's what building something does. It reminds you that you're allowed to begin again. This is just one raised bed, one step, one beginning. But for the first time in a while, it feels like I'm moving forward.